We're live. Hopefully this has worked. Hello everyone, welcome to the live stream. Final one of the year, chatting a little bit about Sky and Fanteam. It's good to have you all here. Hello FPL Spartans and FPL Sparta. We got the Greek Massive, I see. It's good to have you both on. How you all doing for your Thursday evening? Hope everything's good. I've got a few things to go through Sky and Fanteam related. It's not excessive. I mean, we've only got 1 week left, so it's not like I'm going to give you any groundbreaking news at this stage. But I guess Sky is even less interesting, I think, than Fanteam with the limited transfers we've all got. We're not going to be doing much exciting stuff this week, I don't think. But next week, absolutely. Not next week. In Fanteam, I think absolutely we've got a chance to make some 1 week punts and what have you. So I'll talk about some clean sheet odds, etc. for Fanteam. And yeah, hopefully have a bit of back and forth in the chat, etc. Should be good. Thank you, sir. My mustache is looking pretty full on. Yeah, I'm not particularly good at facial hair, but pedo-tash is my forte. But yeah, there's no pressure to donate. I realise things are tight for people at the moment with all the energy crisis, etc. going on. But if you look at my personal Twitter account, there's I think my pinned tweet is my donation link for Movember. So if you're feeling generous, I'd be very grateful if you could donate towards the good cause that is men's mental health and me growing a terrible mustache and embarrassing myself every time I go out in public. But yeah, Sky related, just thought I'd talk through the fixtures. I imagine that Planet FPL and 3for1 have done a pod before me, so there's not much new I'm going to tell you by going through these fixtures. But yeah, on the Wolves Brighton front, I'm not sure too many will have Wolves defenders or maybe some Brighton players, but I know Trossard got an assist and he's in my team. I'm so happy about that. In fact, what I could do, a bit of interesting. Should we pull up FF stuff and have a look at the match centre quickly, see if there's anything groundbreaking to see with bonuses, etc. Let's have a quick look. Just making sure I tweeted out that I was live then. Sky Match Centre. I'm still a little bit rusty with the old streaming deck. I saw a mini league. There we go. That looks more like it, doesn't it? So first, top of the list, we've got Leeds v Bournemouth is the one to talk about. Obviously, Leeds won that 4-3. Somerville seems to be like the last-minute goal-scoring legend at the moment, doesn't he? Don't know how expensive he is in Sky. Might be worth looking at, but don't mind him as a differential in the likes of FPL and Fanteam. But I don't think from a Sky perspective, Adams finally getting back into the tackle bonus. I bought him. He blanked and then he got injured. So I think this is the first game that he's actually not blanked in for me since I bought him. So he's been a bit of a disaster after seemingly being the best bonus magnet midfielder in the game. But yeah, pleased to see him get a tackle bonus again. I don't think there's too much else to talk about from that one. Obviously, Man City, we all have, well, I don't know about Sky actually, how many actually have Cancelo, if you guys in the chat do, but yeah, unfortunate with his red card, but Man City, well, they're just amazing, aren't they? So they still went on to win the game. Rodri in and amongst the passing bonus again, no surprise there, made 99 passes. Ake and Akanji were the two, by the looks of it, centre halves. I'm guessing Stones played right back actually to start the game, which is interesting. Both Diaz and Laporte were on the bench for that one. But yeah, passing bonus for them Man City defenders. And then, well, no real surprise that Leno, the Fulham keeper, got saves bonus. Don't think there's too much else to talk about there. Forest Brentford, obviously a no-show for Tony. Be interesting to see what happens with Tony actually, because I think this obviously the betting scandal that he's been involved in was in the headlines. He was in the headlines this week, but it's been slightly overshadowed by the fact the World Cup squad's been announced. But I'm a bit worried that that betting scandal can be quite serious for Tony. Yeah, remains to be seen what happens with him. much more there. Gibbs White scoring a goal. Probably by the time he scored that, everyone took him out of their teams. Nico Williams with some tackles. I don't imagine anyone's really got him. And then Ben Mee with passing bonus, made 75 passes. Didn't think he had that in his locker, but there you go. But yeah, I don't think the goal scorers there were particularly of interest to anyone. Spoke a little bit about Wolves Brighton. Duncan Webster, over 100 passes for each of them. I think Webster is looking like a reasonable option post the overhaul. Sarr saves bonus, but he conceded 3, so there's nothing too interesting there. Casado with some passing bonus as well, and then McAllister got himself some shots bonus, so McAllister still somehow getting bonus every game. Leicester, this Wout Faes fast lad looks to be pretty ridiculous. His point scoring over the last few weeks has been insane, and I think Leicester's clean sheet keeping is very much on trend with him getting in the starting 11. So he's really turned things around for Leicester. I think they've got a bit of a coup in signing him. He got passing bonus and a clean sheet in that one. Pickford getting saves, but he conceded 2, so it doesn't really matter. Tielemans with some passing bonus, which is nice to see, and obviously scored an absolute worldie. He seems to be on a bit of a trend of scoring worldies at the moment, doesn't he, Tielemans? But yeah, that's your... I'm trying to move this in the middle of your screen a bit better. Hopefully, there you go. So that's that for that game. Arsenal beating Chelsea. I think this was another one to cement the fact that they're a genuine title challenger this season. That's a big game for Arsenal to win there. I'll see your message there, Spartan. Yeah, Justin out for the season. That's quite a worry for Leicester, isn't it? I think they've got Luke Thomas. He's not quite the level, is he? So it'd be interesting to see what happens with them now Justin's out. It's really unfortunate for him, isn't it? I know that's his second sort of serious career injury, and he's out for the rest of the season. Yeah, just a real shame for James Justin. I don't know. I feel like, in my opinion, he was almost like the left back that could have made it into the England squad. I think he's better than the likes of Walker-Peters and Mitchell. That might be a unpopular opinion, but I think Walker-Peters and Mitchell were the other two that were suggested that they could come into the squad to play left wing back. But I thought Justin could have done the job, to be honest. So yeah, really sad to see him injured. And it sounds like, I think I saw Sam Martin's Twitter today. It looks like he's out for the season, which is a real shame. Granit Xhaka amongst the tackles for Arsenal. No passing bonus for the defenders, but it's Chelsea, isn't it? You're not really going to expect much against them, but they got the clean sheet. And then Gabriel also with the goal, and then a few tackle bonuses there for Cucurella, Aspie, Zinchenko and Xhaka. And then for Villa, obviously I'm a Man United fan, so disgusting result for United that. I think it just showed that Man United don't have a deep enough squad. Or not a deep enough squad, they got enough players, but they just don't have the quality to do Thursday, Sunday. And yeah, it showed in that game. Villa obviously had the entire week off, looked bang up for the game. Obviously, Unai Emery's just come in, switched things up. Jacob Ramsey obviously looks really good, scored a goal, own goal, assist, tackle bonus. His points scoring is going to be ridiculous in Sky in that one. But yeah, he looked... Obviously, he's a bit more expensive than he was last season, but if he continues playing in that role, he'll be an option. And then obviously Leon Bailey as well with a goal. Martinez again for United. I know they conceded 3 goals, but he got bonus points again, and he was close to getting tackles as well. I think he's a really good option in Sky, and I'll go on the Sky website and show you his points once we get through the list. But I really quite like Martinez for the other side of the overhaul, because I think hopefully Varane will be back then as well. So I think the Martinez-Varane partnership is definitely far more solid than Martinez-Maguire or Martinez-Lindelof. And then Newcastle continuing their amazing form. They look really good, beating Southampton 4-1. I had Callum Wilson as my captain in Fanteam, which we'll get onto. Kind of failure with that captaincy. I gathered that he was fit and well to play the game, but he came off at half-time. And I listened. I was driving home from a work trip on Wednesday. I'd recommend it, actually. Callum Wilson's got a podcast with Mikel Antonio. It's called, I think, the Footballers Football Podcast or something. And they just chat shit about football, basically, between them. They got a really nice chemistry. And it's just nice to hear, Premier League footballers just talking about normal life things. But yeah, Wilson was just saying he just felt really terrible all week. He was actually in bed all week. And then, it didn't sound like he trained. And then he just showed up at St Mary's, played 45, and then he just said he couldn't take any more, so asked to be subbed. So hopefully he's back fit for this week. I don't have him in my Sky team, but just a bit of an update there on Wilson. Pope didn't get a clean sheet, very annoying. Perraud, he scored a few goals actually this season as Perraud. I know he's on my bet. He's like one of my bench fodder players in Fanteam, but he got a last minute goal. Pope with some saves bonus. Palace West Ham. Finally, Zaha actually scored some points for me in FPL. I don't have him in anything else, but yeah, goal and assist there. Finally, some passing bonus for the Palace defenders as well. Declan Rice with some passing. Paqueta with tackles bonus and an assist. I don't think anyone's too highly owned there. And the Liverpool beating Spurs 2-1. I would be so frustrated if I was a Spurs fan. Having watched that game, they looked absolutely terrible in the first half. And then somehow they just pulled their finger out in the second half and looked like a really good side. It just beggars belief that they don't start games like that. I just feel if they started games like that, they'd be challenging for the league, to be honest, because they just look so attacking and fluid. But yeah, that just seems to be the norm for Spurs, doesn't it? Start slowly, wait for a goal to be conceded, and then try and attack the other team. And by that point, it's too late. Just noteworthy things there. Van Dijk with some passing, but it didn't keep a clean sheet again. Double bonus for Thiago. Obviously a brace for Salah. I had him as captain in one team and then Kane in the other, and Kane obviously scored as well. Didn't get shots bonus though. That must have been Kane's only shot all game. But and Longley and Dyer with passing bonus, and Loris with some saves. Interesting thing. I don't think it's worth it in Fanteam actually because he's a midfielder, but be interesting to see where Perisic lines up at the weekend. I was touting him in one of my earlier videos this week that he might play up front alongside Harry Kane for Leeds. But yeah, he played midweek against Forest. I think he played something like 60 minutes, so I think he's a bit of a doubt to actually start this weekend now. And it looks like Richarlison's back. Kulusevski's back in the frame as well. So yeah, just a bit unsure on Perisic now. Thiago an option. So I had Thiago at the start of the season in Sky. I think he played did he get injured in the very first game of the season? But I just think with Thiago, he's just too injury prone to pick for me. Obviously, his bonus potential is really good, but he's as injury prone as someone like Callum Wilson, but he obviously has less upside. So I think I'd be avoiding Thiago in Sky if it were me. So that were your fixtures. And then just looking at next week's games, you can see last week's there again as a reminder. But next week's games, it's Saturday, isn't it? So it's hardly next week. It's a couple of days' time. Man City Brentford at 12:30. All of us Sky players are just going to be zen and chill, checking our phones at 11:30, and then captain Haaland if he starts, I think. Obviously, other noteworthy options are definitely Kane and Salah, but I just don't think you can ignore a fit Erling Haaland against Brentford. I just think that's a great option. Especially one of the trends I've noticed with Brentford is they tend to be pretty decent and hard to beat at home, but they just can't seem to play very well away from home. I think they really struggle. West Ham, Leicester. I don't know if too many people will have either players for those, but it could be a game where Maddison returns. Obviously mentioned Kane against Leeds. Forest against Palace. Not much for muchness in that game, really. Maybe Dean Henderson can keep a clean sheet for those that have got him. Liverpool, Southampton. I don't know. Obviously, I think it's Nathan Jones, isn't it? He's just taken over at Southampton. Who knows if they'll get a new manager bounce against Liverpool. Remains to be seen. I'd certainly back Salah to do well in this game. Whether Liverpool can actually keep a clean sheet or not, who knows? They just don't seem to be able to keep a clean sheet against anyone at the moment. Bournemouth, Everton, not sure many Sky players will have assets from those teams. Newcastle, Chelsea, again, not sure it's going to be heavily too many assets across Sky teams in that game. Then Wolves and Arsenal. I think this is a game Arsenal could definitely win. I think the likes of Saka and Jesus could get amongst the goals, and probably keep a clean sheet as well. I'd fancy an Arsenal clean sheet in that game. So likes of Saliba, etc. I think people will be happy to have them. And then on Sunday, it's a little bit interesting Sunday because I think there are quite a few captain options. You could go for a Brighton defender. You could bring in a Villa player. Mitrovic looks to be injured, so he's not an option for Fulham. So it suggests that actually that Man United could be a good captaincy as well. In one of my teams that I'll show you in a second, I've got David De Gea, and I've also got like the likes of Polinia and Trossard as well across my team. So it'd be an interesting one to work out who to captain on that Sunday. Might well be worth a longer than Twitter poll. Might have to do a straw poll with like 8 or 9 options for captaincy on Sunday. It just feels like one of those days where it's quite split, but I don't think there'll be a massive haul. Spartans, what will you do if Haaland is benched on Saturday? I'll probably captain Salah or Kane. So one team I've got Salah, the other team I've got Kane. So I'll either give it to Salah or Kane. Or obviously Cancelo as well. I think for me it just depends if Cancelo starts, because one of the things I've seen from Luke Disable is, I remember last season Walker got a silly red card in the Champions League, and Pep punished him with a benching for like a few weeks. I remember that because I picked Walker in Sky, and he just didn't play. So yeah, just one to monitor there. So if Cancelo doesn't play, I think Kane and Salah are options, and obviously Cancelo's a great option as captain if you want to go for him as well. And then for Sunday, to be honest, mate, I think McAllister is just fine. I would say McAllister probably better than Polinia, just because McAllister has multiple routes to points. So he's got penalties, set pieces, tackles, passing, and he takes a few shots as well. So I think McAllister is probably the preferred option to Polinia. And I'd like to think that Villa under Emery is probably a team where McAllister will make a fair few passes against as well. I don't think it's worth a transfer if you own McAllister. I'll just captain him, I think. Something interesting. I did a quick filter on FF stuff. Thank you, Frank, for letting me use your content as always. So this is just a view of the top points per game per million. I think I filtered it by the last 5 weeks for players that have played at least like 3 games out of the 5. So players that you consider to be pretty nailed for the last 5 weeks. Top of the list, it caught me by surprise. I guess it's just a combination of clean sheets going mad in saves, but Danny Ward's top, and obviously the fact that he's 6.1 million. Interesting to see actually how many Sky players pick him on the other side of the overhaul, because he's just dirt cheap. Obviously Leicester did have a fantastic fixture run for the last couple of months, so be interesting to see how many actually pick him. But I think for 6.1 million, now that Leicester seem to be a little bit better, he seems to be playing a bit better as well. He could be an option at the other side of the overhaul, as could Miguel Almiron, depending on how obviously the World Cup goes. The man just looks on fire at the moment, and I think he's not usually the type of player I'd pick. I'd usually go for a passing bonus, like bonus magnet midfielder for that kind of price. But for the goals that he's scoring, I think 7 million is great value. Kepa, what can we do? I brought him in. I think he started off with like a 12-pointer, kept another clean sheet, and then he made saves bonus and conceded, and then he got injured. So I think that's a bit of a disaster there on Kepa. Trossard's in amongst there. I've got him in one of my teams. I think one of the noteworthy players is Wout Faes from Leicester. I mentioned him when we went through the match centre there, but yeah, he seems to be getting bonus quite consistently, and I think his inclusion in the squad is quite a trend with how Leicester have been keeping clean sheets as well. He seems to be a really good signing for them. He could be like the Soyuncu of a few seasons ago. It's obviously a little bit more expensive, but yeah, just one to consider. What else we got on there that's of interest? I think that's probably about it, really, of players that I think are noteworthy. And obviously Amati as well, just playing alongside Wout Faes for Leicester. But I'd probably, if Johnny Evans is fit, I'd imagine he'll play alongside Faes, but who knows? I think that's probably it for points per game per million that was worth noting. Obviously, Trippier seems to be doing quite well. He's not the kind of player I'd pick in Sky because he doesn't get the consistent passing and tackles, but yeah, just the combination of clean sheets and the odd attacking returns, he could be a good option as well. This is more of a sort of a Fanteam related jobby, but I thought I would just show clean sheet and goal scoring odds as well. This is courtesy of FPL Factory. So this is a completely free to use website where you can have a look at the clean sheet odds and goal scoring odds. And you can also set a filter for, I think they've got an expected minutes model as well, so you can turn that on or off depending on whether you want to use an expected minutes model to pick your captain or whatever. But yeah, there's for all your viewing pleasure. Here's the list of clean sheet and goal scoring odds. So Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, Brighton are the top 5 for clean sheets. I think Man United and Newcastle actually are home against Chelsea. I think they both could probably keep clean sheets too, so worth keeping an eye on. And then for goal scoring odds, it's not much surprise. Haaland's top, Salah's second, Kane's third. So yeah, when you were talking about captaincy Spartans, I think first up is Haaland. If he doesn't play, it's Salah. I'd say third's probably Cancelo, and then fourth is probably Kane for me. That would be my order of captaincy choices. I also don't mind Kevin De Bruyne, to be fair, if he plays. But yeah, there's your list of goal scorers and clean sheets. I'm just going to log into Sky Fantasy Football a second and I can show you my teams. I must admit I'm not having a great season at all in Sky, so I almost feel a bit cheating trying to show you my team on a live stream, really, because I'm not doing that well. But you've got to be honest about these things, haven't we? There you go. So this is Custard Cream FC, my A team, which is, I've had a bit of an interesting trend with my A and B teams this year. Chocolate Digestive FC was leading the way for quite a lot of the season, and Custard Cream's overtaken again. So I'm 8.7k with Custard Cream FC, and then Chocolate Digestive FC is 18k. And I've got 37 left on this one, transfers wise, and 34 left on this one. And so for this week, I've got Pope at home to Chelsea, and like I was saying, I think Newcastle could well keep a clean sheet in that game. I've got to say, I don't think Chelsea have looked too clever going forwards, and yeah, Newcastle just seem to really step it up when they're playing at St James's Park. So yeah, fancy Pope for a clean sheet in that one. Eric Dyer could well get me passing bonus and a clean sheet against Leeds. I'm hoping Cancelo plays and again gets his standard sort of 10-pointer. Same for Saliba. He's obviously got passing potential against Wolves. Arsenal looking good defensively. I think he could probably keep a clean sheet and get passing. Salah, Palhinha, Adams, Trossard. Hoping for bonus from the middle two. Trossard will probably be, I think he's my only player in the game on Sunday actually. Let's just put it next to the Sunday's fixtures. Yeah, so he's my only player on the Sunday. So I'll have Trossard as my captain on Sunday. Like I said, bonus from Palhinha and Adams would be nice, even though, yeah, well, they've got pretty tricky fixtures, but they're tackle monsters, so hopefully they can get some bonus. And then Jesus, Kane and Haaland. And I think, yeah, if Haaland plays on Saturday, he'll be my captain. And then this team, if it works, David Gea in goal. Yeah, disappointed, obviously, captain him, bringing him in for the Villa game and conceding 3 goals. What did he actually score? Oh, it's really annoying. It won't let me. It won't let me click on his profile. Oh, and there's no fixtures available apparently. Sorry, folks. The game had a little wobble on me then. There we go. So yeah, 0-pointer against Villa, but he's my captain for Fulham. I think without Mitrovic, Fulham are a different kettle of fish. So hopefully he can get a clean sheet in that one. Dyer, Diaz, Cancelo. Feel a bit robbed by Diaz. In my head, he was almost like the first choice City centre-back, but he's not consistently played. He's been dropped on a fair few occasions and then benched on a few others as well. But when he has played, he's obviously good for passing bonus and tackles. So yeah, I'm just happy to keep him. I think he'll play this weekend. Cancelo as well. Brought in Saka for a captaincy on the Sunday the 30th, which I think went quite well for me actually. From memory, or he got an assist. So he's there in my team. McAllister, Adams, Polinia, and then Haaland, Kane, and Mitrovic. I forgot that I still have Mitrovic in this team. Might just keep him, to be honest, because McAllister will be my captain on Sunday, and it's only one game, so I might as well just keep Mitrovic. I've only got 34 transfers on this one, and in this team, 37. So I think Custard Cream FC is definitely going to be my A team this side of the World Cup. I've not paid much attention to the World Cup game yet. I also didn't realise that Memphis Depay has barely played any football this season, so that's what I've gone for as my first World Cup draft. Very quick and put together. I don't think Depay and Mertens will make my final cut. And I'm also, I know Saliba's been amazing in the Prem, but I'm just not sure if he starts for France. I don't know what that team's going to look like. Same for Mertens and Depay. So this is sort of where I'm looking at. I think one of the key things is I'll start with the Ecuador keeper, and then I think I'm going to try and prioritise basically penalty takers and any sort of players I think are going to come close to passing bonus. I think they'll be going in. But yeah, international football tends to be relatively low scoring, with quite a few penalties. So I think penalty takers are your ones. But yeah, I'm no expert in international football yet. I intend to spend next week getting up to speed. And I'll probably make a Sky World Cup video next week. Might even do a live stream as well before the deadline. Yeah, because it's Sunday. First kickoff by the looks of it is Sunday at 4. So I could do a little deadliner stream before that game. So that's it for Sky. I'll just check if I've got any Twitter questions. Feel free to ask me any Sky related questions in the chat as well. And I see, Spartans, you asked me a question on Twitter as well. So what are your initial thoughts on team formation post the World Cup? Big at the back, loaded midfield, and definitely 3 forwards. I think probably a 3-4-3. Similar team to, honestly, the team won't be too much different from this one. I think obviously McAllister will be definitely in my team. Probably replacing Adams. Not sure about Polinia. Is he? I just don't know. He's not been too bad for bonus, has he? Let's be honest. I think he's probably worth just keeping in there at 6.6, isn't he? I probably won't have Trossard. Who I'll have in that position, I'm not entirely sure. Then I'm also not entirely sold on Gabriel Jesus either. Yeah, he's just not been... He's been all right, but I just don't feel... I feel like Rodri or someone like that could be better. But yeah, I think I'll probably be going for a 3-4-3. Unless there are any more Sky questions, I'm going to do... Are you ready for this? I'm going to do a switch to Fanteam. Check that banner change right there. So going back to the old clean sheet odds and goal scoring odds, I think my captain this week will definitely be Erling Haaland. Unless, obviously, the Man City leak suggests he's not starting. But I can't believe for the life of me that he won't play the week before the World Cup when he's been fit enough to come off the bench. Cheers, Spartans, mate. Have a good evening and rest of your week. I'm just going to sign into Fanteam so you can see my team. But yeah, there's your clean sheet and goal scoring odds for the week. I just thought I'd leave that up so you can have a look at it. Right, so I've gone down in rank a little bit. So I did start off last week in 29th place overall in the season game. I'm now in 56th, which is a bit meh compared to where I was, but I'll still take that. 56th place going into the World Cup break would not be the end of the world at all. And here's how my team's lining up. And to be honest, I need to change my captaincy. I'm just going to do that now. I'm going to put it on Haaland. Set as captain, and Salah can be my vice. Obviously no Mitrovic as well, so I don't think it's worth making a transfer in Fanteam. I'm just going to leave it as is, and Guehi can come off my bench. I'll just swap my bench order as well. Swap player for Perrault. But yeah, here's how we're lining up in the old Fanteam. Yeah, 56th overall. I'll take it. I mean, there's a long way to go. I'll take that rank going into the World Cup. I'm very happy with my team. Only sort of worry is Mitrovic being injured. But yeah, looking at my bench, I'm quite content that someone can come off that bench and replace him quite happily. Yeah, I've got one free transfer, but I'm just going to roll it, I think. There's no point. I think the World Cup brings with it a lot of uncertainty with injuries, etc., etc. So I think it's worth just leaving it. So yeah, that's how I'm lining up. I've showed you the goal scoring and clean sheet odds. A couple of things I just wanted to show as well. I've not started like a formal affiliate partnership with them, but I'm starting to work a bit with DraftHound. That is a really good resource. It's more FPL focused, but with FPL and Fanteam being so similar in terms of their scoring, I think quite a lot of their features are definitely useful for Fanteam players. One of their best ones, in fact, what I'll do is I'll get it up on screen. So one of their crowning features at the moment is their assistant manager feature. So you don't actually have to log into your FPL team at all. You can just put your team ID in, and it will show you your team. And then on the right hand side, it will suggest to you the best transfers based on expected points for the next 3 weeks for each of your players, ranking them by obviously the most like profitable transfer for points. So it's telling me this week in my FPL team to go Dunk to Gabriel for a gain of 8 points, 8 expected points over the next few weeks. So yeah, it's just an interesting and cool feature, so worth checking out DraftHound for that. But yeah, going back to the stuff that I wanted to show, it was the top players for expected points, hopefully to help you with your captaincy decisions. So Haaland's in first place, basically expected to get 8 points, so he's expected to score a goal basically. Very similar to Kevin De Bruyne on 7.89. Then it goes Salah, Kane, Saka, Trippier, Almiron, and then Martinelli to close out the top ones. And then on the right is the best 11, not factoring in price, just the best 11 players for each position. So Alisson's the best goalkeeper this week. Trippier, Gabriel and Trent are the 3 best defenders. He's got 5 in midfield, so De Bruyne, Salah, Saka, Almiron, Martinelli, with Haaland and Kane up front. So if ignoring price, those are the best players per position in Fanteam this week. I think I may have had some questions. That was a very short little Fanteam one there, but I don't have too much to talk about given that there's 1 week left. So I did have a question from Alexander. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up Twitter so I can show it on screen. Is anyone going for Twitter Blue, by the way, in the chat? I don't know if it's controversial to say, but I think on the old Golden Goal account, I think it might be worth having a little punt on it, just to see if it's worth a go. I'll let a few content creators pioneer the way, and then if I see it being quite beneficial, I might give it a go. It's what, £7 a month, isn't it? It's not the end of the world. So Alexander, so he's 16th in the half-season game. Wants to know if I've got any suggestions. So he's looking at bringing Phil Foden in. He's got he's got the same front 3 as me, Wilson, Mitrovic and Haaland. So I think for me, your 2 transfer decisions there, mate, are between Madison to Foden, or getting rid of the injured Mitrovic for someone else. Because I think it depends how many free transfers you've got, but there's 1 week left in the half-season game, right? So I think it's probably worth getting rid of Mitrovic over getting rid of Madison, because I think Madison can equally show up in the West Ham game as Foden could against Brentford. I think the best transfer is probably Mitrovic to someone else. So what I'll do, mate, is I'll quickly log into the old Fanteam. Hopefully it's remembered my login. Let's see who we can transfer Mitrovic out for. Well done, FPL Sparta, mate. Is that the half season or the full season game? Right, so Mitrovic is in there at 7. Oh, so yeah. So there's a bit of murmurings going around that Alvarez could start. So I think going Mitrovic to Alvarez for a week if he plays is a good move. It's obviously cheaper. It depends how much you got in the bank as well. But I think I'd prioritise getting rid of Mitrovic over getting rid of Maddison for Foden. Obviously, I wouldn't bring in Tony for the Brentford game. None of these lot will be very interesting. Calvert-Lewin against Bournemouth could be a shout. And likewise, Solanke against Everton. I know he's pretty boring and cheap, but Solanke against Everton, he's got, if I look back to the goal-scoring odds, Solanke has got, I think, higher goal-scoring odds there than Saka. Quite similar to Nunes. Yeah, he's got higher goal-scoring odds than Foden as well, for example. So I don't actually mind bringing in Solanke. And he'll probably play 90 minutes as well. Let's see his fixtures, his history. Well, yeah, look, that's a pretty 90-minute man, isn't it? Don't think there's anyone right down in these weeds that's worth it, is there? But yeah, I'd say get rid of Mitrovic, mate. If you get news that Alvarez starts for City, I'd definitely look at him. I think he's probably going Mitrovic to Alvarez is probably better than Maddison to Foden, in my opinion. Just because you know that Maddison's going to play, and he's a very decent option, whereas Mitrovic definitely isn't going to play. So hopefully that helps. So you got one transfer, nothing in the bank. Yeah, I think... I don't want to plant the seed fully in your head because you're in a better rank than I am, but I think Mitrovic to Alvarez, if Alvarez plays, is worth a go. Likewise, any of the cheapers, any of the strikers for cheaper than Mitrovic, I think, likes of Watkins, Calvert-Lewin, Solanke could all do well for you. And I don't know, I feel like it's a bit more fun than going Maddison to Foden as well. So yeah, no problem. I'm very happy to help you out. See if there's any more questions for me. I think that's my lot. I didn't have anything else to show. That was all I had planned to talk about. I'll stick around. Any other questions in the chat, feel free to fire them in. Otherwise, I'll leave it there. I will be doing my usual deadline stream. I think the deadline's 11 a.m. if I'm not mistaken. Or is it a 10 a.m. deadline? I can't remember. In FPL, let's have a quick look. When's the deadline? So yeah, I'll be streaming at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning before going to a swimming competition, and then I've got a gig in the evening. I've got a really busy Saturday, but I will be streaming at 10 a.m. for the last deadline before the World Cup. Hang on. There's my FPL team that I'll probably show most of the time. But yeah, I'll be there at 10 a.m. I'll do a bit of mostly FPL, but again, I'll definitely feature my fan team and Sky team, and we can all have a chat ahead of the deadline, and also watch as the game crashes when we see the Man City predicted lineup and both Haaland and Foden aren't in it. But yeah, I think I'll leave it there, folks, if that's okay. Hope you have a good rest of your week, and I'll catch you at the weekend for a deadline stream in a bit.